My name's Maya, and at 32, I'd spent a solid decade laser-focused on building my career, becoming a manager at Sterling Group, while my younger sisters, Olivia and Sophia, were busy starting their families, adorable chaos I often parachuted in to manage. I was navigating corporate minefields and celebrating promotions mostly alone in my downtown apartment. Don't get me wrong, I was proud of my achievements, but sometimes, staring at the city lights from my corner office, a quiet ache would surface. No husband, no kids, just me and the impressive title. Instead, I'd somehow become the designated reliable one, the automatic, always available Aunt Maya, juggling my demanding job with sudden pleas to watch Leo, Lily, Max, Mia, and Noah, all 5 under the age of 7. The dependable daughter, the rock-solid sister. But was my reliability becoming their convenient default? It all began innocuously enough. Just a regular Tuesday morning buried under a mountain of quarterly reports at Sterling Group. My phone buzzed, Olivia's name flashing across the screen. At 26, my younger sister had always been the effervescent one, her voice practically bubbling through the speaker, even when she called collect in college. "Hey, May!" she chirped. "Got a quick sec?" "Sure, Liv. What's up?" I replied, shuffling papers, my attention only half present. "So, you know Mom's big 6-0 is coming up in about 2 months, right?" She paused dramatically. "Well, Soph and I are planning something really special, and we kind of need everyone to chip in." That snagged my focus. "Okay," I said, setting a report down. "How much are we talking?" When Olivia named the figure, I nearly dropped my coffee. It was a serious chunk of change, easily more than I'd spent on my last actual vacation, which, come to think of it, was a depressing 3 years ago. "I know it's a lot," she rushed, anticipating my reaction. "But it's Mom, you know?" Before I could properly process, habit kicked in. No, it's fine," I heard myself say, already pulling up my banking app. "I'll transfer it right now." "Amazing! Oh, and one more tiny thing," she added casually. "Make sure you book that entire week off work for the celebration. Don't plan anything else, okay? Super important." Just like that, my money and my vacation time were committed, sight unseen. The next few weeks flew by in a typical Sterling Group whirlwind of meetings and deadlines. I'd occasionally prod Olivia or Sophia about the big birthday plans their hefty fundraiser was supporting, but they'd just wave me off with vague comments like, "It's a surprise," or "Still working out the details." Eventually, work completely consumed me, and Diane's birthday slipped to the back burner. Then came the obligatory Saturday dinner at my parents' house. The usual suspects were there. Mom, Diane, and Dad, Robert, my sisters, Aunt Janet with her kids, my cousins David and Laura. The familiar, comfortable chaos enveloped us. Dad recycling his ancient jokes, Mom fussing over portion sizes. That's when Olivia decided to detonate her little news bomb. Pushing green beans around her plate with calculated nonchalance, she announced, "So, we finally got everything arranged for Mom's birthday. We're all heading up to Cedar Lake Lodge for a whole week." The table instantly erupted in excited chatter. Mom was glowing, Dad was already talking about renting a boat, and my sisters were debating lakeside activities. "Why didn't anyone tell me sooner?" I asked, feeling a distinct pang of being excluded. "I don't even own appropriate lake gear, and there's barely time now." The table fell silent. Too silent. Mom cleared her throat, and that familiar dread pooled in my stomach even before she spoke. "Actually, honey," she began, using that tone, the one reserved for favors she knew I couldn't refuse. We were hoping you could do us all a huge favor and watch the kids while we're there. I just stared, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth, processing the sheer audacity. Watch the kids? All 5 of them? My brain automatically ticked them off. Sophia's toddler, Leo, Olivia's baby girl, Lily, David's energetic twins, Max and Mia, and Laura's inquisitive son, Noah. 5 children, all under 7 years old, for an entire week while they partied lakeside. You want me to watch the kids? I finally managed, the words feeling foreign on my tongue. Well, you're just so wonderful with them, Maya, Mom chirped, as if that settled everything. They absolutely adore their Aunt Maya. I scanned the faces around the table. Dad, Aunt Janet, my cousins, desperately hoping to catch a glimmer of a shared joke, a hint that this was some bizarre prank. Nothing. Just expectant smiles, waiting for my inevitable, reliable yes. But that's not fair, I heard myself say, my voice sounding small even to me. I want to celebrate with everyone too. It's Mom's birthday. Sophia, my practical 28-year-old sister, put down her water glass with a sigh. Oh, come on, Maya. Let's be realistic. You'd probably be bored stiff up there anyway. It's going to be noisy, chaotic. Bored? I interrupted, feeling a spark of defiance. How would you know if I'd be bored? She exchanged a quick, knowing glance with Olivia. Look, Sophia continued gently, you're fantastic with the kids. They really do love you. And honestly, it's not like you really need a break from intense family life, right? The implication hung heavy in the air. My chest tightened. The carefully arranged centerpiece blurred as I blinked hard, refusing to give them the satisfaction of tears. Still reeling from Sophia's jab, I knew I couldn't let it rest there. Refusing to be confrontational wasn't an option anymore, but maybe reason could prevail. I waited until a respectable hour Sunday morning before calling Mom. Hi, Mom, I started, keeping my voice deliberately steady. I've been thinking about the Cedar Lake Lodge trip. Actually, I have a solution. I'll pay for a professional bonded babysitter for all 5 kids. That way, everyone can enjoy the celebration together. The silence stretched, heavy, and charged. That simply won't work, Maya, Mom finally replied, her voice tight, devoid of warmth. We can't trust some stranger with the children. They're used to you. Mom, I want to be part of the celebration, I pleaded. It's your birthday. You know, she cut me off sharply. You're not exactly a social butterfly, dear. You'd likely feel uncomfortable with all the noise and activity anyway. The children will keep you occupied. It's perfect. Click. She hung up. Before I could even process the dismissal, my phone buzzed violently. Olivia. How dare you? She hissed before I could utter hello. Mom just told me about your little suggestion. Are you actively trying to ruin everything? The sheer hostility stunned me. We already have a solution, Maya, she spat. And now you're being utterly selfish, trying to change it all. If you ruin this trip, if you spoil Mom's birthday, don't bother speaking to me again. I mean it. The line went dead, leaving only the chilling echo of her threat, followed swiftly by guilt-laced texts from Sophia reminding me of family duty and how much the kids needed me. Stunned by the coordinated onslaught, Mom's dismissal, Olivia's venomous threat, Sophia's guilt trips, it finally clicked. The carefully vague request for a substantial amount of money without explaining its purpose. The specific insistence on taking that exact week off work. The casual dinner announcement treating my mandatory babysitting gig as a foregone conclusion. They hadn't just hoped I'd watch the kids. They had meticulously planned it all along, using my money and my vacation time, banking entirely on my predictable compliance. While I was pulling late nights at Sterling Group, juggling deadlines, and dutifully providing free childcare on weekends, they were secretly arranging their perfect getaway, built on the foundation of my assumed sacrifice. A wave of nausea washed over me as years of memories flooded back, each one suddenly cast in a harsh, new light. Me at 16, cooking dinner while Mom helped Sophia with homework. Me at 18, cancelling a spring break trip with friends to watch Olivia. Me working 2 jobs through college, partly to help pay for Sophia's extravagant prom dress. Maya, can you watch Leo? Maya, could you just take Max and Mia for the weekend? It had always been yes, always putting their needs first, taking pride in being their reliable one. But reliable had somehow morphed into exploitable. Sophia's words echoed. It's not like you need a break from family life. As if my life, my career, my choices were lesser simply because they didn't involve a husband and kids. The fog of obligation lifted, replaced not by anger, but by a strange, cold clarity. Determination settled in my chest. I opened my laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. Within an hour, I'd booked a beachfront hotel in Aruba and a first-class plane ticket. After all, I had the funds. The next few days at Sterling Group were surprisingly serene. My family had gone completely radio silent, probably assuming I was dutifully preparing for a week of juice boxes and endless rounds of baby shark, maybe stocking up on extra snacks or planning kid-friendly activities. The thought brought a wry smile to my face as I packed feather-light sundresses and a brand-new swimsuit I'd impulsively bought. As the plane ascended, leaving the familiar cityscape behind, I switched my phone off completely. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no temptation, and tucked it deep into my carry-on. Stepping off the plane in Aruba felt like walking into a warm hug. Palm trees swayed lazily. The air was thick with the scent of salt and tropical flowers, a world away from the crisp autumn air I'd left behind. My hotel room surpassed the online pictures, the balcony offering an unobstructed panorama of turquoise water meeting endless blue sky. The gentle rhythm of waves crashing ashore was the only sound. That first afternoon, I walked barefoot on the impossibly white sand, letting the warm grains squish between my toes, realizing with a jolt I couldn't remember the last time I'd done something so simple, so purely for me. I swam laps in the crystalline hotel pool without glancing at a clock, read an entire novel uninterrupted, and savored a quiet dinner at a beachfront cafe where the only person I needed to manage was myself. Watching the fiery sunset paint the sky from my balcony, sipping a glass of chilled wine, I felt a profound sense of peace, utterly disconnected from schedules, demands, and everyone else's expectations. It was just me, the ocean, and a whole week of absolute freedom. My last morning in Aruba, I consciously savored the final dregs of tranquility, sipping my coffee on the balcony, knowing the inevitable return to reality loomed large. I knew I'd have to face whatever digital storm awaited, but even braced for impact, I wasn't prepared for the sheer volume, the absolute onslaught unleashed when my phone finally powered back on after a week of silence. It didn't just buzz, it practically convulsed in my hand, vibrating non-stop as a cascade of notifications flooded the screen. Hundreds, literally hundreds of missed calls, voicemails, and text messages. The timestamps showed they began precisely 1 week prior. Early that Saturday morning, I was meant to be on duty. My hands trembled slightly as I scrolled through the initial wave of confusion. Olivia. Where are you? We're outside your apartment. Sophia. Maya, open the door. The kids are getting restless. David. Hey, brought Max and Mia like planned. You home? Laura. Maya, what's going on? Noah keeps asking for his Aunt Maya. That confusion quickly curdled into panic, then outright, unadulterated fury. Olivia's texts turned vicious. You selfish witch! How could you do this to us? Sophia wasn't far behind. I can't believe how immature you are. Mom's birthday is ruined because of you. Even Aunt Janet chimed in with curses I'd never imagined her uttering. Mom's later messages dripped with icy disappointment, and Dad's rare text simply read, Your mother is crying. Hope you're happy. Voicemails echoed the rage and accusations. Sitting there amidst paradise, I saw exactly who my family thought I was the second I stopped being their convenient, compliant solution. It was time to go home, but the Maya who booked that flight wasn't the one returning. I'd barely finished unpacking my sandy beach clothes when the aggressive pounding started on my front door. Before I could even react, I heard the sickening scrape of a key turning in the lock, the emergency key I'd given Mom years ago, just in case. They burst in like a righteous tornado, Mom, Diane, front and center, flanked by Olivia and Sophia, all three red-faced and radiating fury. The fragile peace I'd cultivated in Aruba evaporated instantly. Do you have any idea what you've done? Olivia shrieked, stepping forward. You ruined everything. I stood my ground in my own living room, the same space where I'd spent countless hours babysitting their children, watching them unleash their collective rage. Their husbands had conveniently bailed, leaving Sophia stranded at home with all 5 kids, missing the entire disastrous Cedar Lake Lodge trip. Mom lamented how no one could relax, how they just talked about my betrayal. Then, unexpectedly, I started laughing, not hysterically, but a low chuckle at the sheer, unbelievable absurdity of it all. They stared, momentarily silenced. What's so funny? Mom demanded. Don't you see? I asked, my laughter fading but my voice steady. You secretly planned this, used my money, expected me to drop everything, and now I'm the villain because your manipulative plan imploded. That's what's funny. Mom drew herself up, her face hardening. If that's how you truly feel, she said, her voice like ice, then perhaps I don't have a daughter named Maya anymore. I met her gaze. If that's what you want, Mom, I replied quietly, then so be it. It's been 6 weeks since that final, explosive confrontation in my living room. 6 weeks of deafening silence, punctuated only by the occasional passive-aggressive social media post from my family, thinly veiled digs about selfish people, or the sacred duty of family first, undoubtedly earning sympathetic nods from relatives who only heard their side. Months ago, those posts would have gutted me, sent me spiraling into sleepless nights, wondering if they were right. Now, I just scroll past, sometimes with a faint smile at their predictability. The key takeaway here isn't complicated. Your self-respect is not selfishness. Setting healthy boundaries, even with family, isn't betrayal. It's essential for your own mental well-being. Learn to recognize emotional manipulation and guilt trips for what they are. Attempts to control, not expressions of love. Real family, the kind worth fighting for, thrives on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice. So, ask yourself, are your boundaries respected? Do you feel valued for who you are, or just for what you provide? Learning to say no without guilt is a superpower. Did Maya's story resonate? Comment below with your biggest takeaway. Like, if you agree boundaries are crucial, share to spread the message, And definitely follow, subscribe for more stories about reclaiming your power.